Woo! She is back, babes, and happy Capricorn full moon. It's happening on July 10th at 4 p.m. Eastern time. I remembered the date and time that time. As always, if you're new here, make sure to watch the beginning because this one's going to be a juicy one. The beginning is where everything is at. It will relate to so many different aspects and pieces of the things that I go over in the beginning, and it will add so much more context to when we get to your sign. I only briefly go over the signs at the end just because I put so much into the beginning, because collectively I download a lot of things. I am spiritually intelligent. I'm a very intuitive astrologer. My main goal here is to basically help you remember who the fuck you are, okay? And to help you get to a place of alignment within yourself. That is my mission. That is my goal here. Astrology is just one of the many tools that I use to do that. But anyways, this is going to be such a, I think, really magical full moon. That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting from it. It is going to be very powerful. I don't want to spoil it too much because I just have so much to say with being gone for the last, I think it's only been a week and a half maybe. But I just have so much to say and I just don't want to say it all at once. So anyways, with that being said, make sure to watch the beginning of this video. Again, this is where the juice is. This is where everything is, okay? And let's go ahead and get into this Capricorn full moon, what it means, how to vibe with it, because I'm going to give you a lot of different ways that you can vibe with it. I think a lot of you are going to relate to a lot of the things that I say. So anyways, let's go. Alrighty, my darlings. So we have the Capricorn full moon right here. As you can see, whoa, that line is very, very thin. So let's thicken her up a little bit. Alrighty, we have the Capricorn full moon right here in the sign of Capricorn. Like I said, happening on July 10th at around 4 p.m. Eastern, okay? And this full moon, okay, first let's talk about a full moon, all right? A full moon, as you guys know if you've been here for a while and you've heard me say it a bazillion times, a full moon is when the moon is at her brightest. We can see her visibly. And what does she do? She adds light to the darkness. She lights up the darkness in the night. We can see her. She is full. She's very visible. Now, the moon in astrology is so close to the earth and really influences our day-to-day lives, moods, emotions, the tides, right? The moon influences us so much. And so in astrology, she was kind of thought of as a mother. It's so interesting with the sun being in Cancer as well. But anyway, so she was kind of thought as of a mother, and she rules over our emotions and the feeling world. But when she is full, she is at her fullest. She is taking up space. We can see her visibly in the sky, which means we can feel her a lot more deeply, can feel her a lot more. And so usually full moons are more intense than the other moon phases because the moon's at her peak, she's at her fullest, she's at her brightest. And so we are influenced by that and feel that a lot more than we usually do. So full moons in astrology, a lot of the times represent heightened intuition, heightened emotions, basically. A lot of events can be going on because of that. It's the moon ruling the tides. Sometimes, the water is calm, and then other times it's monster waves happening, right? A full moon is basically monster waves in a way. You can think about it just as an analogy for thinking about a full moon. It's when the tides are really coming in and going out and they're all over the place. And so because she is so full and because she's so bright, because we can feel her more, a lot of the times there's a lot that can come into our awareness, because the reason she's so bright is because she's opposite of the sun. And the sun is our awareness and just our sight in general. It's where we're going kind of in life at that moment, where our focus is at that moment. So when the moon is taking the sun's light basically and reflecting it back to the sun, we have this dual happening where our awareness and our sight becomes aware of what it didn't see or feel, or the things that were in the shadows. Just like when the moon is full in the sky, way back in the day before we had electricity or whatever, and it would get really dark out at night. The moon, when she's full, it's almost like having a huge light in the sky. You can actually see things at night, right? And so it's kind of the same thing. And so because the moon is full, it usually represents peak moments, peak understandings, epiphanies, a lot of intuitive insights, changes, kind of like a culmination point of something, like something that's been building over the last few weeks, or even back last year, since the last Capricorn full moon and the last Cancer new moon back in, 2023, something that has been building since either last year around this time or just in the last few weeks is finally showing itself. Okay, we're finally coming into this kind of climax with it. It's kind of like that plot twist in the middle of the movie, and it's like, oh, this makes so much sense now, looking back how this was all lining up, right? It's kind of like that. So that is basically a full moon. Now, a full moon in the sign of Capricorn, okay? And this is where I really want you to pay attention here. Capricorn is an earth sign, and it is ruled by Saturn. Okay, and we have Saturn over here, good old Big Daddy Saturn in Aries, conjunct Neptune right now. But with the full moon being in Capricorn, a Saturn-ruled sign, this is kind of a chop wood, carry water kind of sign. The way I always think about Capricorn is like back in the day when people used to live through the winter, live in the snow, live in the icy cold temperatures with nothing but like a fire, and you had to make sure that you had enough wood, and if you needed food, you had to go hunt or go actually get it to, create some kind of sustainability within your life, to create some kind of foundation, some kind of structure. Like you actually had to go after, like Capricorn's an earthly sign, right? So this is about the earthly plane, anything physical that we need to do, anything physical that needs to be done, our responsibilities, our duties, our tasks, our goals, right? And so this is very much Capricorn energy. Now, let's back up a little bit and let's talk about Cancer. So Cancer, it's been Cancer season, and the sun has been traveling through the sign of Cancer. Okay, we had a Cancer new moon a couple weeks ago, and I talked about that in my last video. But Cancer is basically the sign that is ruled by the moon, and this is why it's important as well, not only because the sun is in Cancer, opposite the moon in Capricorn, but also the moon rules Cancer. So even though it's a Capricorn full moon, it still has, and even though the sun's in Cancer, it's like in alignment with Cancer still in some way. So it all goes back to Cancer. And so this is what I want to talk about. Cancer is kind of the sign of creation in a lot of ways. It's a cardinal water sign, feminine sign, ruled by the moon. So it has a lot of moon-like qualities. It is very much about our intuition, our emotional worlds, our past, our roots, our ancestry, our home, our family, nostalgia. And kind of like our emotional nest, the emotional bonds that kind of glue us to either family or our past or other people. It is where we feel at home, the connection of unconditional love. And that's so much of the lesson with the sign of Cancer. And it's our connection to our feelings, our connection to our past, our connection to our hearts. So it's really our emotional worlds, okay? And this is so important because in any kind of self-development, healing, awakening journey that you're going on, our emotions are so crucial. You know that if you've, ever worked on healing, inner child work, shadow work, self-development, whatever, that our emotions, we came here to experience emotion. But so many people's relationship with their emotions is conditioned by their childhoods, or they've learned to escape, or they learn to flight, or they learn to fight, or they learn to freeze, or they learn to stuff it down, they learn to overanalyze their way out of it. There's so many different ways that we kind of deal with our feelings and that we deal with our emotions. But Cancer season and Cancer as a sign is so much about understanding this flow of emotion, right? It's our internal worlds. And for anything to flow, for us to feel like we are flowing in life and like we are in alignment with ourselves, we have to first face the things that we are not feeling. Because when feelings come up and we don't allow ourselves to feel them, they don't go anywhere. Just because you may feel a little bit better later on, or you stuff it down and don't face it right in that moment, it doesn't mean that it's gone. Okay. And we do this to ourselves in really backwards ways too, where we avoid something in the future, or avoid going after that goal, or avoid going after that dream, all based on how we may feel if so-and-so happens, right? If we get rejected, or we get turned down, or it doesn't work out, or we mess it up. oh my gosh, what am I going to feel if that happens, right? And so we live in disappointment now to not disappoint ourselves later, which is like the crazy part. Okay. And I have been on this self-love journey, really facing like a lot of shame from like last year. Like I had this like peak period in 2023 for those of you that weren't here for all that. But I had this like peak period and I was becoming very, very successful. And I've done this before. And it was all because of my internal world. I had been working a lot on healing my internal world. I was super in alignment with myself. I felt like the truest version of myself. I was super confident. And then something kind of starts shifting, and I start feeling this kind of like almost like pull away from it all. And I start feeling that because something's going on within me that I don't feel right continuing in that energy. And basically, like I start feeling out of alignment, and then I pull back because I don't feel like, right continuing to move from that place or make decisions from that place. And anyway, but when I do this, I end up having a lot of shame about it. And I end up kind of beating myself up over it and feeling like, oh, why did I do that? Like I said I wasn't going to do that this time and I did it again, And so it was like just all this shame, all this self-judgment, all this criticism. And I was living in that for pretty much most of last year. And eventually, it was just feelings and stories compounded, over and over and over and over and over with it. And really the root of it all was shame. I've been facing a lot of that this year. Like this year has been kind of cleaning up all the emotional stuff, all the energetic stuff that got tangled up last year. And so anyway, the reason that I'm bringing this up is because so often we avoid the shame, or we avoid the feeling that we're feeling right now, and we just keep going in our lives, or we overanalyze it and try to get out of it that way, or like we just kind of ignore it, escape it, whatever. And a lot of the times the feeling just needs to be felt for us to move through it. It doesn't need to be compounded with all of these other feelings and emotions. And I feel shame, and then I feel shame about feeling the shame, and then I feel guilty for feeling the shame, and then I feel angry at myself for feeling the shame. And then it just creates like all these stories that aren't even true that we start living in. We start living in this like web of confusion and tangledness, and we can't see clearly anymore. And we feel disconnected from ourselves, and life feels heavy. Things feel heavy, right? And I think so much this full moon and this Cancer season, especially with Jupiter, and they're now kind of expanding these topics and expanding this energy. It's like, what burdens are you still carrying? What are you making your responsibility that isn't? Okay. So for instance, like, let's say that you did something and you don't feel great about it and you carry shame with it. It's no longer just, oh, I feel guilty because I did that thing, or I took that action, or I made that choice. It becomes, oh, I hate myself because I made that choice. Like, I just suck. Like, nothing I do is right? And but let's say the choice and the story that you're telling yourself has more to do with you feeling like you let other people down. And so basically all that is coming from is that you are carrying the responsibility for other people's feelings and other people's potential or not potential disappointment. Like, maybe you did let them down, maybe you didn't, like you're just assuming that you did and automatically saying, that's mine to carry. I'm carrying other people's feelings, and I'm carrying, and I'm holding myself hostage with shame, because shame is so much like a jail. It's like the lowest frequency that we can be in as humans. It's like, it is it's a feeling that really, really, really is at like the core of humanity. It's the lowest frequency of humanness, And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, because oftentimes shame is the way. That's also something that I've learned over time, that shame teaches us a lot. Shame shows us our morals, shows us like, I didn't like how I handled that, or I didn't like that decision that I made, or whatever. But we can sit there and compound shame on top of it and hold ourselves hostage and never do it again and hold ourselves back for the rest of our lives and punish ourselves for it, because a lot of it's like punishment. Like, shame feels like, so I said it's like a jail, because it's like we're punishing ourselves for something from the past and we're allowing that to dictate our life right this second, you know, and our decisions right now. And thinking that it's just something is wrong with who we are. And that is never the case. Like, you were born good enough. You were born deserving. You were born worthy. And not one single thing has changed that, except for the stories that you're telling yourself, right? It's all made up. It's all imaginary. Whoop, my screen died here, but I'll leave it down for a minute. But it's basically all imaginary. And so with this being said, though, back to like our internal worlds, this is why our internal worlds are so important, because the way that I think about it is like, I used to call it like our emotional capacity, right? Our energetic capacity. I mean, our energetic capacity, but energy is emotion. Emotion is energy, right? So, when we like let's say that we've been having a really rough time for a while and we want to feel good, like we don't want to feel like this anymore, but we've literally, our capacity, our emotional container is like filled with gunk and shame and regret and failure and insecurity and like all the things and self-judgment and all of that. And we go to like try to feel good, and we probably can't feel good for very long, because that good feeling kind of hits up against our capacity, because our capacity is pretty much full of like other stuff, right? And so, and this is where kind of the saying comes from, at least how I think of it, it relates of like, you know, your cup being full versus like dumping out the cup, you know, like all that. But if we can't handle what we're dealing with now, because, and it's not that we can't handle it, we just aren't handling it. We are, you know, living in shame, regret, victimhood, what's wrong with me. We've made it so much about who we are as a person, and we've like now identified with it, and we think it's just who we are, and our wiring is just effed up and we don't belong, this, that, and the other. Like, our capacity is filled with that. Okay. So when we go to try to feel good, or we have a moment where we feel good, it only lasts for so long until the shame returns. So it's like, oh, my boyfriend made me laugh or something, like as an example, right? Like your boyfriend or your significant other makes you laugh, and then you laugh. And then after you laugh, you think about, well, should I be laughing? Do I deserve to laugh? Like, you know, everybody knows that, you know, I just did this, that, or the other, and everybody knows I've been struggling. And if they think that if I'm laughing, then they're going to think that I'm okay and I'm not okay. And, you know, like things like that, right? It like bumps up whatever good feeling that you have, almost like immediately goes back downhill and reminds you of all of the things that you're avoiding. Okay. All of these feelings that you haven't felt. And this is why this is so important, because until we dump out our container, we can't fill it with like the good, happy, pleasurable feelings. And so much of this year so far, basically all of this year actually so far, I've been working on, and even part of last year, I've been working on dumping out that container and untying, you know, this tangled web that, you know, I was stuck in, because all the stories I was spinning about why things happened and, you know, this, that, and the other. And so I've been dumping out that container, and the more that I dump it out, the more I notice my baseline. And what I mean by that is like kind of like my mood every day, okay? Or my baseline feeling, like what feeling do I feel the most lately? And for a while there, like for several months last year, it was just confusion, misery, probably even some depression, you know, like shame, you know, just not like, I just was not, you know, for the most part, that's how I felt. And now it's like, I'm in a good mood, you know, I kind of notice, or I'm at least in an okay mood. And that's kind of where we want to get to, especially like if we have a lot of gunk in our container, if we have a lot of shame, if we have a lot of guilt, if we have a lot of failure, if we have a lot of this, that, and the other. It's not about just jumping from that to, I feel great and I am the best ever and everything's great, like, you know, unicorns, rainbows, and butterflies all the time. It's like getting from that to, I'm okay. And it's going to be okay. Like, it's all good. Like neutrality, you know? And we do that by feeling the feelings instead of constantly running from them or telling ourselves stories, because so much of the time, like, we'll have the shame and we'll be like, oh, I don't like who I am, or because of what I did, or because of how I handled that, or whatever, or because of this event that happened, and all this and that and the other. But then at the same time, we'll have another conflicting story that's like, no, actually, that's not true because this one time, and this one time. And, like so many of like the clients that I have, like, I'll be like, okay, like, let's go into what you're feeling, or like, let's go into this story that you're telling yourself, or this feeling that you've been feeling. And they'll sit there and they'll try to start going into it, but then they start also talking against it at the same time. It's like, I feel this way, but I know I shouldn't feel that way because, like I should be grateful and I should be this and I should be that. And it's like, no, like, hold on a second. Let's stay with the one feeling here, one feeling at a time. and sometimes eventually, as we work on our emotional capacity and all of that, we can build up to more than one feeling at a time. Like, I can have a bad day right now, or feel sad, or feel angry, or feel frustrated, or feel annoyed, and know that it's temporary and I'm going to bounce back sometime soon. And it's like, the world's not over, it's fine. But again, because my baseline has risen, I'm no longer way down here, I'm like up here, okay? And so, but this is so important. The reason why all of this is so important is because our internal world comes first. Especially as women, and I'm really speaking to women here when I say this, because it's a little different for men and masculinity, but I'm really speaking to women mainly when I say this, but everybody can still get something from it. That's fine. But in one of my signature programs, Goddess Mode, this feminine goddess awakening that I had back in 2022, it's one of my most powerful, potent programs full of just amazing wisdom and codes. But we talked a lot about this, and your internal world has got to come first, especially in the grand context of things. Okay. Now, obviously, if you're having a bad day or you're in your feelings and you got to go to work, okay, that's a little different. You got to go to work. It's your responsibility. If you've been just hanging out in your emotions, like drowning in them 24/7, and you've gotten out of a rhythm of doing things that you need to do, okay, it's time to like feel the feeling, let it go, because that's the other thing. Sometimes we feel things and then we just hold on to them and we just stay at it. And we don't we don't allow ourselves to go all the way through the feeling process to where we have the wisdom that comes from it, the emotional code that comes from it, because there's an emotional code that usually comes from every feeling once you've fully felt it and processed it in a clean, energetic way. And so, anyway, but your internal world has to come first in the grand context of things. Obviously, there's some times where you've got to put your stuff aside for a second. And obviously, I'm saying that with the intention or with the kind of mindset of you're mainly in a neutral place too. You're mainly at a neutral baseline too. But if you have been miserable or kind of in the same, lower emotional frequency for months, or a long period of time, or this you keep bumping into something over and over and over and over again. Like, you're not just having a bad day. You're not just in your feels for a day. You're not just in your feels for even a week. Like, this is like a long-term thing at this point, or something that you're really struggling with. This is what I mean. Your internal world has got to come first. This is where creation happens. This is where things get tangled up, and then life becomes hard and heavy, and we feel like we're literally carrying a 1,000-pound trash bag on our backs, walking up a mountain. Like, things just become heavy. We're drained all the time. We're exhausted all the time. Like, this is where our frequency is lowering, right? And when I say lowering, I don't mean good and bad or right and wrong. It's not about that. Okay, we came here to have a human experience, and we can't do that if we can't feel and embody the whole spectrum of emotion and what it means to be human. And so, with that being said, our internal worlds need to come first, because it is so much harder to maintain and keep up with. My chart should be back on the screen right now, but so much harder to maintain and keep up with our actual tasks and responsibilities if, again, we are not honoring our feelings, if we're not honoring our emotions, if we're not doing the internal emotional work, if we're not healing. Okay. And this is so much of it. Life starts feeling heavy, overwhelming, chaotic. And it's not just a day. It's not just a week. It's like, this is going on for, a period of time now. And that's when it's like, okay, something is really knotted up within you, and we've got to face it. We've got to face it. We've got to untangle this knot. And so when we when we do empty out the cup, though, when we do empty out the container, we clean out the container, we feel all of the gunk that's been in there, then it's so much easier to deal with things when they come, number one. Number two is we get into somewhat of like a flow state eventually, especially if we amplify on top of that and we continue to feel, the good feelings and the bad feelings. We move past the bad feelings way quicker. We know it's going to be okay if the bad feelings come or something happens or whatever. And we're able to kind of stretch ourselves even more. And our capacity is, we have way more space now. We have way more energetic space within our emotional capacity because we've been feeling all of the stuff, because the only way to dump out the cup is to feel the feelings. Like, you've got to actually, the water has to go somewhere. The emotion has to go somewhere. You can't keep it stored within you, because then you're just still feeling it. You're still acting on it. You're still making choices because of it. It's still dictating your life at that point. And so this is where Capricorn comes in. Once we enter the flow state, or we enter a place at least of neutrality, emotional neutrality and healing and all of that with the Cancer energy, we then have the Capricorn energy. And like I said, Capricorn's an earthly sign, Saturn ruled. So it deals with our duties, our physical reality, the structure. Water has to have a container to be in, okay? Water has to have some kind of structure, whether it's a riverbed or a creek, the huge mountains and stuff that the ocean is within. Like, there's gotta be a container for the water to be there, okay? And so Capricorn is the container, whereas Cancer is like, I have emotional bonds with people that I can trust, I can count on, that I love and that love me. Capricorn's like, okay, well, we've also got to take care of things physically. So that means money or resources or a job or goals or a house, like Cancer is like, okay, I have a family now. Capricorn's like, okay, well, how are we going to protect this family? Where's it going to go? What's the container we're putting it in? It's just like kind of an easy way to think about it. But Capricorn is so much about our duties and the things that we need to take care of, the task that we need to take care of, our responsibilities. Responsibility is a big one with Capricorn. It's like, where are you, like I said earlier, making things your responsibility that you didn't agree to, or that weren't your responsibility in the first place because you have no control over it anyway, And even if you did, is it still really your responsibility, or is it someone else's? Okay. Or where are we taking on responsibilities or burdens or whatever that aren't ours? Or where are we not, being responsible in our lives? And so either we are taking on responsibility and burdens that aren't ours because of emotional stuff, whether it be other people's emotions or our own emotions and insecurities, etc. Or where are we avoiding and negating the responsibilities in our lives because of emotional stuff, or because of bonds, connections, etc. with other people, family, yada, yada, yada. Okay. So Capricorn really comes in here, and it's so funny because I've seen Capricorn so much, and like I'm gonna go over a few examples and the way that I've seen Capricorn just like literally within like the last few days. So number one, got back from vacation middle of last week, but then we had like the 4th of July, and there was like a ton of plans for that all weekend. And so this week is like the first week that I'm like, okay, I am back from all vacations, no more vacations planned, at least right now for the rest of the summer. And I've got a lot of shit to catch up on. I've like not really been working as much. I've not been filming as much, and I have appointments and schedules and like all of this. So it's like, I've got to ground back into a routine. Okay. So in that way, it's like I'm coming back from this, spending time with family and vacations and, kind of getting away and refreshing myself. But I'm also now coming back to, okay, there's some responsibilities and some actual real world reality hitting 3D earthly stuff that I've got to do and deal with now. Like, I've got to clean my house, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I got to go to the grocery store. Resources and the physical things that we've got to take care of so that we can feel safe and so that we can feel good on the inside still. Capricorn and Cancer work together. Our internal worlds have to be in alignment, but our external worlds can mirror that alignment or pull us out of alignment or help us get back into alignment as well. Okay. And so, and this is like, you know, I've another way that I've seen kind of this happen is like, earlier today I was having a conversation with my best friend, and she was saying how she's basically been like looking at everything in life lately as like a ritual and how helpful that's been. And she talked about like, you know, cooking dinners, like a ritual where I make the food and I put like love and energy like into the food and experiment, have fun with it and make it into this like ritual, you know, so that everybody can eat and their bodies can be nourished. Like I look at cleaning the house like a cleansing ritual, right? Because like sometimes you just got to fucking rearrange, you know, sometimes you got to just clean the house and get it over with because you're going to feel so much better about it. The energy is going to be clear and you won't even know how much it's affecting your energy until you do it, you know, a lot of the times. Like that's how it's been for me at least. And so like these are different ways, like, you know, taking care of self-care, you know, like taking a shower and exfoliating and washing my hair and, you know, putting lotion on and taking care of my body, make sure I'm eating well, make sure I'm getting enough water, exercise, you know, all of these things. This is me having a ritual with my body and myself so that my outsides can feel as good as my insides, you know? And so anyway, this is like physical things can shift our vibe too. And we always have a choice. We can allow them to, or sometimes we do allow them to, and we become too attached. And then, you know, we're like, oh, not feeling too great anymore, you know, and we want to blame somebody else or blame something else. But it's like, okay, your emotions are your responsibility and your world, your life is your responsibility. If you can't tell, I have my nodes in Cancer and Capricorn. I've said this a few times recently, but so I really understand the lessons of these signs. But another way that I went to a doctor's appointment the other day, and even I was telling my doctor that, you know, I just got, like, he asked how I was and stuff because I haven't seen him in a while. And I was just telling him, like, I just went on vacations recently. I'm just getting back, just trying to get back into the rhythm of things again. And he was like, yeah, like routines are really helpful and they're really important. And I'm like, gosh, it's so Capricorn full moon, you know, just all these conversations I'm like having or hearing from people. Sometimes the emotions gotta get grounded into reality. They've got to have a place to lay. Okay. So like you may be doing the internal work and the emotional work, and you may be healing, and you may be, you know, clearing out your emotional container, your energetic internal container, but what about your physical container? This is what this Capricorn full moon is really about. You know, have you been putting off responsibilities, like physical, earthly responsibilities, just because you haven't felt like doing them or you haven't been in the mood? This stuff can also eat away at our internal world and our energy and our emotions, our emotional worlds, because we're giving ourselves the message that, oh, I can't handle this, or, oh, you know, that's too much, or giving ourselves excuses, basically bullshitting ourselves. And this is affecting the internal relationship with yourself. Okay. And so this is what this full moon is so much about. Changing or realigning our external world to feel more synergized with our internal world and the things that we really care about. Or have we been putting off physical things that we do care about? Yeah, maybe the things that we have to do aren't fun, but they provide. You have to think about what you're gaining from each thing. Doing the dishes, I gain a clean kitchen. I gain more dishes to use. I gain feeling like things are cleaner and not feeling gross every time I walk through the kitchen. You know, I go to the grocery store to get food. Oh, well, I'm gaining food. Yeah, there's a price to pay, or yeah, it's boring, or yeah, I can't stand, you know, all these people here, like whatever, but I'm doing this because I'm gaining something from it. So sometimes, like, and this is very much Capricorn as well, the boring kind of mundane task that we all don't always want to do, you know, or the task that can just be hard sometimes, like hard work, mowing the lawn, or, you know, whatever the case may be. Things that we're just kind of like, but it's our responsibility. And we feel better internally when we feel responsible. Like, think of yourself as like different parts, and you have a mother, you have a father part within you, you have a feminine part, you have a masculine part, you have a child part, all of that. you're going to feel better when your feminine part is emotionally good and you're, more like, yeah, but you're also, because Capricorn's a feminine sign, a lot of people think it's masculine because it's very Saturn ruled and earthly and all of that, but it's still a feminine sign. So, but you also, a lot of people do think of it as like a father because it is kind of the harder things that back in the day, were mainly like, like the man would go out and provide, right? But you've got to be the provider for yourself, and you've got to take responsibility and not just make excuses because you're not in the mood this moment, or you don't feel good, or whatever the case may be. If you know that you take care of your internal world and your emotions and you feel things most of the time and all of that, just because you're in an off mood isn't an excuse to not follow through on your word. Number one, because your word is everything. It's how you trust yourself. You follow through on something that you said you were going to do, but also your commitments, your responsibilities, your duties, your tasks, like all of these things is your own provider within, your own kind of manager within, because Capricorn can be very like, it's like a manager vibe, But this is also how you take care of you in your life, okay? And this is building the structure, being responsible for your life and taking responsibility where it is your responsibility. Doing the things that you know you need to do, like that is the right thing. And yeah, maybe in the process of it, it doesn't feel that great, or it's not the funnest or whatever, but you know that you're going to feel more accomplished once you do it. And so this is like the time of year where it's like, okay, something within our external world is changing or being shown to us, or we're having an epiphany about the way that we've been going about things, or the way that we've been organizing our reality, whether it's our jobs, whether it's our houses, whether it's our routines, whether it's our rituals. Again, I thought that was beautiful. My best friend said that, like thinking of things like a ritual, which makes it so much easier to like follow through and do them, because it really is. It's like this, you're taking care of something in the long run. Cancer. You are feeding this, again, like I said, the moon is the ruler of Cancer. So, and it's in Capricorn. So these physical things that we're changing, realizing, or feeling called to do, or feeling called to clear out or get rid of, or whatever we're doing, is in return giving back to our internal world. It's giving back to our energy. It's going to give us energy. We're going to gain something from it. So have you kind of fallen out of your routine with it being summer and summer break, your kids are out of school, et cetera, and you've been kind of lacking some discipline, or you've been kind of lacking some structure, or whatever? What do you need to change some things around? Maybe you don't go back to how you were doing things before. Maybe you change some things to better fit yourself. If you have things that you've been procrastinating on, that's also likely affecting your internal world. This is the time to do it. This is it's going to make you feel good about yourself. That's what you're getting out of it. It's going to make you feel accomplished. It's going to be out of your way. It's going to be a weight off your shoulders. It's going to clear space. You're going to feel better once you do it, once you change it, once you shift it, whatever it is for you. Because for some people, it's going to be like, you know what? I'm no longer happy with this routine. It no longer fits me. I've been working too much. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm changing my schedule, or I'm going to finally apply for that position I've been wanting, but I've been too scared to apply to, or I'm going to start carving time out for me in the mornings to have like a little morning ritual for myself again. I used to do that and it used to really make me happy, or I'm going to carve time out for this, or I need to get these tasks and these responsibilities done that I've been slacking on. It's been making me feel like crap, and it's been like feeling really heavy. And on top of that, this full moon trines Mars and Virgo in the South Node. So if you do feel overwhelmed, or you do feel like there's a lot that you've been procrastinating on or slacking on, or like whatever, you don't have to do it all at once. Do it one step at a time, one thing at a time. Just knock out that first thing, do the second thing later. Just don't procrastinate on it, come back to it. Or if it makes you feel better, knock it all out at once. Like the Mars trine is like, all right, it's time to do this. And we can take it in little bits and pieces with it being in Virgo. We can change things around. We can work smarter instead of harder here. We can think about it differently. We can kind of, adjust things in a new way, and that's fine. But we've got to take responsibility for our feelings, stop putting the weight of other people's feelings on our shoulders and making that our responsibility, because it's not, okay? Without the weight of other people's feelings on your shoulders, what would you be doing? What would be in alignment with you? What feels like the right thing? Also, I talked a lot about in the last, video, in my new moon video, being vulnerable, trusting our intuition, allowing ourselves to feel the feelings. If you're all jumbled up and your container's full, it's probably going to be a bit of a struggle to understand what the right choice is or what the right decision is from here. So first, feel the things that you've been neglecting or not feeling. And likely it's some kind of conflict. It always boils down to this. It's some kind of conflict between two different parts of you. One part says one thing, the other part says the other. Most of the time, these represent two different values within you, like freedom and security. Those were two of mine that like to fight a lot. Like, I really want to do this, but it doesn't feel safe. But I really desire this, but what if you can't? And then you fall. And then you end up homeless or something, it's always like worst case scenario, extreme. And so figure out what these two voices are representing. And if it's like safety, fear of failure, usually one of them's more fear driven. It's more pessimistic, and the other one's a little bit more optimistic. It's like, I want a new job, and it's like, but can you really do it? But what if you're not good enough? But what if you don't have what it takes? But what if you fail at that too? What if you don't make enough? What if you, all of these things, right? And you've got to eventually decide at some point, like, okay, is there a way first that I can combine the two? Can I keep my job now so I'm safe? And can I start looking into the new job? I'm just looking, I'm not going full speed ahead. I'm not taking some huge risk. I'm just looking. Yeah, I can do that. Okay. I feel safe doing that. Alrighty. Oh, I found a job. But what if you don't have the skills? Okay. So I'm kind of valuing, wanting to know, why am I worried I won't have the skills? Oh, well, because people could look at you like you're an imposter syndrome. Okay, but do I have the skills? Yeah. Okay. Are other people's feelings my responsibility? No. Okay. Poof. Problem gone. Conflict gone. What I'm responsible for are my decisions, my feelings, my emotions, my choices, my life. Other people's feelings aren't my responsibility. I'm not going out of my way to hurt anybody. My intention for wanting a new job, in this scenario is a good one. I feel like I'm being called to do it. And at some point, if you're having trouble finding the middle ground, it's or breaking it down to where it's no longer a problem anymore and questioning it, then it's okay, well, what do I value more? Do I value other people's opinions and validation? Other people liking me? Or do I value the freedom this new job is going to bring? And if it doesn't work, then I can always find another job, So much of the time we're when we have these fears or we have these emotions or we have these insecurities, it's we sit there and think, because for me personally, I've realized that so much of my journey, I'm getting to this place in my healing journey. I know this has been super long, by the way, but I'm getting to this place in my healing journey where it's no longer really about feeling all these really deep feelings all the time. I've done a lot of that, and I still do feel my feelings when they come up, but so much of it now is I can literally just kind of take it apart and look at it honestly and get to the place where I talk myself in a circle and I realize that it's no longer even a problem. The problem just poof. I'm oh, I find the fear, the little old programming, the little old story that's what if they don't like you? What if you fail? What if what about before? Like, and it's like, okay, well, but what helps me do that though, like, it's not that I'm avoiding my feelings, it's that I find the truth. And once I find that truth resonance within me, and so that's a way to do it as well. But either way, I don't know why I just went into that. I feel like maybe someone needed to hear that or something. Either way, at some point we've got to figure out, like, okay, am I just in fear, and I'm in fear about the thing now to avoid it from the future, because you're already feeling like you're already in the fear now. You're already feeling it now. You're already thinking about it now. You're thinking about it every day, and you're not letting yourself just sit with it and feel it and question it and talk to it. And you're just assuming the worst, right? It's like at some point we've got to face it, and then we've got to decide what's more important. Like, what are the two conflicts within you? Write them down and, dissect them. And so, and obviously this comes from my, just different, from my own journey of like doing this kind of work for so long now, like freaking 9 years now. So it's, somewhat, easier for me at times to do it, but other times it's not, and I get it. And those times where it's not, you're all clouded, you're all confused, you're all tangled up. It is harder to see clearly in those moments. And this is why we have this beautiful full moon in Capricorn coming in and shining a light in the darkness to show us the things that we may not be seeing right now, to realign us with our hearts and our capabilities and our goals and our duties and our resourcefulness, our physical realities, the earth. Okay? And so, anyways, that is what this Capricorn full moon is about. And just a little recap here. The main thing is that our internal world and our external world can synergize here. And this is a beautiful time for that. So if something's been feeling out of alignment in your external reality, whether it's a job, something going on with your finances, a routine, etc. But this would be the time to kind of get those in alignment and really start breaking it down. Now, the other thing is that just on a very general surface or very basic level, it's a full moon in Capricorn. So it's showing us things about our responsibilities, our goals, our burdens, because it's a full moon. It's, a lot of the times it's like it's showing us things that are prevalent to our current reality, but sometimes from the past. So like how the past can be affecting our current reality, and Cancer and Capricorn can deal a lot with the past. And so it's like showing us where we may be carrying, things that aren't even ours, or things that we're ready to let go of, old insecurities, old emotional wounds, old stuff to do with our childhoods, families, connections, bonds, etc., that it's time to let go of. Now, there's also something to be said about, just in general, again, Capricorn full moon, this is something coming to a climax and something coming to a head to do with changing or realigning our external worlds to feel more in alignment with our intuition, with our feelings, with our internal worlds, and the things that we actually care about. What do we care about now? What do we care about more? Where are priorities? Like, am I putting so much energy into something that I don't even care about? But over here, I care about this, but that's not getting any of my energy because it's all going here, here, and here, and here, and here, right? This is where, this really comes in, okay? So, anyways, I hope this was helpful. Comment down below, badass alien, if you stayed until this point. You are a badass. Thank you so much for that, because this has been long. And please, while you're down there commenting that already, please let me know if this was helpful, what you got from it, what part you needed to hear the most. I would really appreciate that. Those types of comments mean the most to me because it pretty much just reflects back to me, like the moon and the sun, why I do what I do. and why I'm doing this and why I love this. And it's just like, because in the Cancer energy and the emotional energy, it's a lot about feeling and trusting. It's like the ocean, like the ocean can do whatever she wants to you. Okay. But if you fight it, you're going to sink. You've got to flow with her, flow with the tides, flow with the wind. Like you've got to flow with it and learn how to work with it rather than against it. And so it's kind of the same thing with me with this. Like, it's so spiritual for me. It's healing for me. It's intuitive for me. I like channel things. I download things, like I have, this list of notes of things that I downloaded, for this full moon that I wanted to go over. And so, but when the real world, Capricorn, when the reality, you guys reflect that back to me and say, oh my God, this right here was exactly what I needed to hear, or this was it. Like, that's when it just like, everything sinks in that moment, because it's like, okay, I was feeling this, and then someone said it, and it's like, whoa, right? It's like just a moment where it syncs up and the real world reflects back to me why I do what I do. And it's just such a cool feeling. And so like, if you ever want to like make my day or make me feel good, just leave a comment like that. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you. Happy Capricorn full moon. Let me know down below how this landed with you. I'd love to hear your feedback. And also, if you were listening to this and a lot of it did land with you, and you're like, you know what, I feel like, Tawny, like you are on my frequency, girl, or you are just speaking right to my soul right now, or some kind of deeper truth within me that I forgot about, I do have coaching spots open. I am taking coaching clients right now. So if you're interested in that, just go to the link in my description, click on the link for readings, and then on my readings page at the bottom, you can schedule a free 30-minute consultation. So we can kind of meet. I can like, briefly like look at your chart. You can ask questions about like, what my coaching is about, pricing, like all of that. We can see basically if we're a good fit or not. And so, yeah. And so if you're interested in that, let me know by booking that down below. And yeah, I will see you guys. Well, I won't see you guys. I'm continuing. We got to do the signs, but let's get into the signs. Alrighty, Capricorn, starting with you. We have a full moon in your sign, boo. So it's happening in your first house if you're a Capricorn rising. Full moons in the first house, number one, can feel very emotional. You may be feeling your feelings a bit more around this time. You may also be noticing, just because the moon is in your sign and it's a full moon, but she's also opposing the sun in your opposite sign of Cancer in your 7th, you may be noticing a lot coming up to do with you in relationships or you and other people. So there may be a lot of mirroring going on, okay? And you really want to look at that as well. If things are kind of coming up, where is this person mirroring things going on within me? Where am I mirroring things going on within them? Projection can come up around this time. But either way, a full moon in your first house is definitely bringing something to a head regarding you, your identity, like taking care of yourself, self-care, your own like goals, duties, individual like responsibilities and things, your own individual identity, appearance, body, and, physical self versus other people, relationships, and things going on there. It could also have to do with family and your home life and your living situation, with Saturn, your ruler, being in your 4th, ruling this full moon in your 1st. And so either way, there's something definitely coming up here, like you're realizing something, or there's some kind of epiphany or some kind of peak emotions or situation kind of coming to a head regarding these topics in your life right now. And so this can definitely be a very eye-opening time for yourself, your identity, your appearance, your body, your health, your vitality. Maybe you've been putting too much on yourself or making yourself responsible for everybody else's feelings, or maybe you've not been taking responsibility for your own things, like this could be that as well. I talked a lot about this in the first half of the video. And if you're a Capricorn rising, you definitely want to go back and watch that, okay? It came from a Capricorn North Node, myself, Moa. So I would definitely go and check that out if you missed it, because it's really powerful. And yeah, that's what I'm seeing for you guys, Capricorn risings. Let me know down below how that relates and what you do notice coming up, and comment down below sexy Capricorn rising, because you are. Alrighty, moving on to Aquarius risings. For you guys, this full moon's happening in your 12th house. And so this is a house that is full of a lot of hidden things going on behind the scenes, things maybe that you didn't know about, or things maybe that you did know about but you forgot, or they've been kind of put on the back burner. Your rules over your subconscious and your dreams for those reasons as well. Rules over kind of seclusion, alienation, isolation, kind of getting away as well. And it can also just rule over like past karma, past suffering, past wounds, like things from the past. And so there could be a lot coming up right now to do with your job and your day-to-day work life and your day-to-day routines and health and habits, addictions, cycles, your subconscious, again, things that you haven't been seeing or noticing that are really coming to light here. And so this could definitely be a time where maybe you realize you've kind of been operating from some kind of old subconscious programming, or something comes to light that was kind of hidden previously or that you didn't quite see before. You realize that it's time to finally kick some kind of habit or take responsibility for something or own up to something that maybe you haven't wanted to, or maybe you realize that this full moon could be about you realizing certain burdens that you've placed on yourself that have been causing kind of this ongoing suffering within your life in a certain area of your life, or just this ongoing issue in your life. It doesn't, I know suffering is kind of like a strong word, so it doesn't have to necessarily be like, oh my God, I'm suffering, but it could literally just be like, oh, I'm really noticing that, I have this pattern or this habit or this addiction or whatever that is really not helping me reach the goals that I want to reach. And so I need to start changing some things. I need to start doing some things a little bit different. And this full moon is trining Mars, which is in your 8th house of finances and other people's money, resources, other people, things that you share with other people, get from other people, owe to other people. So it could be bringing that topic in here as well. But either way, there's something kind of coming to light, something being revealed, or you just, on the very least, you may just be feeling like there's something going on, but you can't quite pinpoint it. You may need some space, or you may need to like take some time off, or kind of take some space to like gather yourself and, figure things out. And so that is what I'm seeing for you, Aquarius rising. Comment down below, sexy Aquarius rising, because you are. And if you missed the beginning, this one was really, really powerful. Definitely go back and watch it. I think it's going to give you a lot more context, okay? It's going to give you a lot more juice. So if you're like, you know what, I'm still craving more, you'll likely relate to the first half of the video. So go watch it. Alrighty. Pisces risings. For Pisces risings, this full moon is happening in your 11th house of other people. This is your social life, social situations, events, networking, marketing, anything to do with your social life, basically, and other people, aspirations as well. This could be a time where you are realizing some things or revisiting some things from the past to do with your social life, your friends, your goals, and the things that you want to achieve socially, like how you want people to see you, commitments that you had with other people, or responsibilities that you have in terms of friends and friend groups and friendships and all of that. So this could be a time where this full moon is really shedding light on those topics right now. It is trining Mars in your 7th, adding even more into the mix to do with relationships, connections, and other people. And so this could definitely be a time like maybe you and a partner are going to some kind of event, but maybe it's a more serious event. Like maybe it has something to do with like a goal or business or work or, something along those lines. Or maybe it is kind of for fun, but you also, to like get to the event or go to the event, you have to be more responsible for some reason. Like maybe you're the what's it called? I forget what the sober driver. I forget what they call it for short, but you know what I mean. But maybe like you're that, and so it's like, yeah, you're going out, but you've got to be responsible or something, or there's something to do with like, or maybe it's even that you've been kind of taking on other people's stuff and making it your responsibility. And so now it's time to like manage your emotions and what's yours versus what's everybody else. And, just take care of the things you've got to take care of for you, or manage a social situation that feels emotional or conflicting or whatever the case may be. So there's so many different things that this could be. Basically, those could be quite a few of them. So let me know down below though, Pisces rising, if that resonated. Comment down below, sexy Pisces rising. And if you missed the first half, you really, really, really need to go back and watch this one. Okay. okay? It's really, really powerful. I think you're going to relate to it a lot. So go back and check that out. Alrighty, Aries risings. For Aries risings, this full moon is happening in your 10th house of your career, your long-term goals, your achievements, your legacy, where you're going in life. Like what are you building in your life? Like what do you want? Like what are your long-term goals? Like what is the physical, the physical things, the earthly things that you're here to build in your life and create, that you're here to build on top of? Like what's the structure that's holding your goals and your dreams together, whether that be a career, whether that be like, a homestead or like, whatever, right? Either way, this full moon is like really having you reflect on these things, like stuff going on with your career, your work, your company, your boss, your long-term goals, your achievements, your future, what you want out of your future. And just your job on a day-to-day basis. Is your job with the moon trining Mars? It's like, are the things that you're doing on a day-to-day basis, the routines that you're in, the small tasks and duties, are they adding up? Are they getting you to where you want to go? Or is there some big peak moment that you're anticipating coming this week? Like this full moon could definitely be that. Could also be some revelations and taking on more responsibility or letting go of things that you no longer are responsible for, like letting go of an old responsibility. Either way, it also ties in the topic of your family and your home life and the things that you really care about, your roots, and how your achievements out in the world and the structure of your life is really flowing with your home life and your private life and the things that you care about. How are they working together? How can they work together here? And if you missed the beginning, you really want to go back and watch this as an Aries rising, because you're likely going to be one of the signs that really relates to the first half of the video. So go back and check that out. You're going to get a lot. Okay, you're gonna get a lot. And comment down below, sexy Aries rising. Let me know if that related to you. I'd love to hear your feedback. And we are gonna move on to Taurus risings. So for Taurus risings, this full moon's happening in your 9th house. And so this is kind of a time where you are really thinking about like your place in the world a bit more, really reflecting on the things that you care about in terms of the world, or what you feel responsible for, what your mission is, what your purpose is, what your beliefs are, what your world views are. How you see things in the world, how you see world events, how you see religion, how you see politics, like what are your philosophies? Like these are the different topics you could really see coming up around this time, along with education and travel as well. So this could definitely be a time, the sun moving through Cancer in your 3rd house. It's like really been reflecting on your environment and the things that you care about that are going on around you, and what place or environments feel like home to you, what environments feel good. And now this full moon's coming in your 9th house to say like, okay, maybe, you've noticed some things, whereas like before you thought the world was one way, or you used to have this certain way of looking at the world, but now that's changing, right? Maybe you feel obligated or responsible to, kind of go outside of your comfort zone a bit, or build on top of something that you've already been working towards. Like, what is that kind of long-term mission for you? Like, what is that thing that makes you feel like you're making a difference, or you are creating something that feels in alignment with like who you are and what you desire in your life? And so either way, there's a lot that could be coming up here, like peak emotions to do with these things. Realizing maybe that you've made yourself responsible for things that are out of your control or out of your power. Maybe you've been taking on too much in terms of things that are going on around the world, or things that are going on a bigger scale, like, like thinking that you've got to like carry the world on your back or something, and so this could be like a release of responsibility, or like a reignition of like, oh, I feel like I can make a difference here, and it does feel like my responsibility because this feels like my mission, so I'm going to go after this thing. For others of you, this could be like ending a, ending school, or like ending a semester, or, taking a final test or something like that. Or changing your major, or thinking about changing your major, or thinking about changing schools, like if you're in college or something, For others of you, this could be like thinking about traveling, or going on a vacation, or whatever the case may be. So could play out in different ways for different ones of you, but let me know down below how it is playing out for you. I'd love to hear your feedback, and comment down below sexy Taurus rising, because you are. And if you missed the first half of this video, this one's really, really powerful. So you want to go back and watch that. Okay. Like, you're going to get a lot from it. So just trust me on that. Alrighty, moving on to Gemini risings. For Gemini risings, this full moon is in your 8th house. And so this is really about finances and financial obligations, financial commitments, financial responsibilities, task duties involving finances, but also shared karma. So anybody that you are kind of in some kind of agreement with, that is more than like, that basically is just an agreement, like contractual, or where you share things, you share resources, or you get resources from each other, or whatever the case may be. This full moon's really bringing up the topics of finances and resources for you, and any kind of agreements or obligations or responsibilities that you have with other people regarding resources and finances, or just regarding anything to do with like, I guess resources. Like, it could just be like a car or a job or a house or a home or a landlord, or like whatever the case may be. Especially with Mars trining this full moon, and Mars being in your 4th in Virgo, definitely makes me think of like some home and family stuff could be coming in here. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, whatever it is. Like, we don't have any like squares to this full moon, and we just have the trine from Mars and, you know, all of that. So, but I do think that it's like, maybe you are correcting something from the past, or you're finally kind of taking responsibility for some kind of debt and realizing it's time to pay this off. Like, if I really want to feel safe internally and financially, with the sun moving through Cancer in your 2nd and Jupiter now being there, if I really want to feel good and safe in terms of resources and finances, I need to like step it up and take responsibility. I need to start, you know, generating more income, or I need to pay these things off, or I need to start going through my bills. You know, it may not necessarily be fun, but like in the end, you're gaining something from it, and it's going to make you feel safer and better and more internally clean on the inside. And that's really what it's all about. It could have something to do also with your partner's finances as well. You know, like if you and your partner share things, or you guys live together, like something like that. So let me know down below what it is though for you Gemini risings. I'd love to hear your feedback. Comment down below sexy Gemini rising. And I'm telling you, you do not want to miss the first half of this video. Okay, so go back and watch it. I got really, really deep and really felt like I was channeling some really powerful shit for this full moon. And I think it's going to relate with where this is happening in your chart as well. So definitely go back and watch the beginning if you missed it. So anyway, moving on to Cancer risings, this full moon is happening in your 7th house of relationships. So this is really interesting. It's definitely obviously going to bring up the topic of relationships and other people and your partner or your husband or wife or whatever. You know, this is definitely a time where it's like, okay, you know, you've been really focused on you. Jupiter's now in your sign. The sun's been traveling through your 1st house. So it's really been about like you and how you feel and your emotions and your emotional well-being and self-care, and really coming back into that identity that you have that is family oriented or nurturing or caregiving or emotional, intuitive, you know, like all of that, like your identity within your family, and how your family is like a huge part of your identity, or the things that you care about or the people you care about is a huge part of your identity. But with the full moon happening in your 7th house, this is like bringing something up, bringing something to your focus about relationships. So this could be about, like I said, your significant other, or just somebody else that you're close with in your life, and reflecting something back to you. So this could be like a powerful conversation between you and your significant other, where they maybe have some kind of really profound experience and take responsibility for something that they've been putting off, or they decide to finally make a change and, you know, do something that they have been procrastinating on, or they come to some kind of emotional decision or some kind of emotional awareness about something. Either way, it's like, I don't feel like this is necessarily a bad thing. Obviously, it would depend on where this is, like how this is hitting your chart. But it feels like something, in my opinion, generally positive is changing in the direction of your relationships, and learning more mature, adult, lessons in terms of relationships for either you or your partner. Okay, so that is what I'm seeing for you guys, Cancer risings. Let me know if that is accurate down below, or what you are seeing come up around this time. I'd love to hear from you. And also, if you missed the first half of this one, this is definitely one that you don't want to miss the first half of. Seriously, it's really, really powerful. I was channeling some really good shit that you're not going to want to miss, especially as a Cancer rising. We went over Cancer in depth, and then Capricorn, and talked about, I channeled all kinds of really like deep, powerful lessons for this one. So go back and listen to it. I think it's really, 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 really going to hit for you if you're a Cancer rising. Like, I think it would really help you. And yeah, just I think it would really, really land for you. So go back and check that out if you skipped ahead. Alrighty. Leo risings, my fellow Leo risings, how are we doing in our 12th house season? I will say that I've definitely noticed the 12th house themes, but with Jupiter there, it has felt a bit smoother than usual. So I'd love to know your feedback so far on how Cancer season has been with Jupiter there. Went on vacation a few times, very 12th housey, near water and all that, but got more water than I wanted to because I got rained out pretty much each time I went on vacation, which is very 12th house, you know. It's like try to get away and then, you know, it doesn't quite work out the way that you wanted to, right? So anyway, but I have been doing a lot of internal reflection and healing and emotional healing and like all of that. As a Leo rising myself, you know, basically I took the advice I gave to you guys for the monthly, and it's been really, really healing and just really amazing. I've felt my emotions a lot more. I've been more emotional, but it's like been like a good thing, you know? And also I have been a lot more intuitive. Like my intuition is so just spot on lately and just so prominent lately. And so I'd love to know how you guys are feeling this though. But basically, you know, the way that I see this full moon for us is like we have been maybe taking a break, taking a step back, going on vacation, or maybe just spending some time to ourselves or with friends, or going to events with Venus in our 11th. You know, like maybe we've been a bit busy or preoccupied with things that feel good or that feel healing or refreshing or whatever the case may be. But this full moon in Capricorn is in our 6th house. So it's coming in to say, okay, but what about the day-to-day earthly things that we got to do? So maybe we've been feeling a bit pulled out of our normal schedules or our normal routines or whatever the case may be. And now it's like this full moon's coming in to remind us to like ground back into reality, to ground back into our routines, or change our routines, change the way that we were doing things before, or, you know, in some way, shape, or form. Like, we've got to, you know, if we've been really focused on our internal worlds and healing or getting away or taking space, taking time, this is kind of like, okay, well, there's still some things that we got to do. There's still some real world things that we've got to come back to or that we've got to focus on that are our responsibility, you know? And so it's so much about like taking responsibility for our lives. And if you are a Leo rising, I'm telling you, I am freaking telling you right now, okay? Like, you've got to watch the first half of this one, okay? You've got to, okay? I spoke obviously from my perspective, and from my perspective, I'm a Leo rising, so you definitely need to go back and watch the first one, because I think that you're going to really, I went in so deep, and that's why I'm kind of being a bit short now, because the first half of this video, I think you're going to really relate to and need if you are struggling or feeling overwhelmed. And even if you're not, either way, I think so many of you will relate to it. So go back and catch that first half of the video. If you can't watch it all the way through, pause it and come back to it. It's really powerful, okay? You don't want to miss it. So anyway, but I think that this is the time of year to kind of free ourselves from whatever has been causing us suffering, whatever has been causing us burdens, whatever has been kind of clogging up our emotional containers. You know, it's like a release of all that, but it's also like a blast from the past. It's very nostalgic, so it could be bringing up a lot of things from the past that you're remembering or realizing or you know, whatever, working through right now. And so this full moon is like, look, you know, you can take care of yourself spiritually and internally, and by going on vacations or taking space, taking time, isolating, you know, working through, you know, the watery stuff. But you've also got to ground this into reality. You have to integrate it in your day-to-day life. And so what does that look like for you, you know? And I talked earlier in the video about my best friend who's also a Leo rising, how she talked about like rituals and how she's been looking at everything as like a ritual, whether it's cleaning her house or making dinner, like things that you normally don't want to do. But she's been looking at it as like a ritual and really focusing on like what you get out of doing that, right? Like, because yeah, they may be things that we don't like doing in the moment, but we're doing them because we need to, because yeah, maybe they're not fun, but because we're being responsible and because we are in charge of our lives. We are in charge of our physical realities and our self-care. So this Capricorn full moon's coming in to remind us of maybe the less prettier, less fun things that we may need to do that we've been putting on the back burner, organizing our house or getting back into a routine, having like a daily ritual, maybe instilling some of the stuff that we've been working on or doing into our routines. But getting back to the not so fun stuff, because that's the structure for the fun stuff, right? That's what helps us to feel confident in ourselves and to help us feel like we can handle things. This is like managing our lives again and getting back into sync. Okay, moving things around to where we are, the emotional stuff can flow, has a structure to flow within, right? So anyway, so that is what I see for us, fellow Leo risings. Let me know how you guys are experiencing this full moon down below. I'd love to hear your feedback. Comment down below, sexy Leo rising, and please trust me and go back and listen to the first half, okay? So moving on to my lovely Virgo risings. So for Virgo risings, this full moon's happening in your 5th house. So it's really bringing in the topic of children, fun, pleasure, play, sexuality, dating, romance, and passion, creativity, all of these things. So these are topics you can notice coming up right now. And with the full moon here kind of shedding a light on this, it's like, there could be something coming up with your kids or some situation or kind of peak moment coming up where you're realizing something about your children or your own inner child or what you love or what you're passionate about or an old romance or a new romance, Either way, this full moon is bringing in some kind of climax or some kind of revelation or some peak moment to kind of help balance things out and help our awareness have both perspectives. So the sun's been traveling through your 11th house. Maybe you've been looking for communities, connections, friends, networking, social, gatherings or events, people that you feel safe with or like at home with or, that you connect to. And the moon coming into Capricorn is like, making this full moon is like, okay, but we've also got to focus on the things that are our responsibility, our duties and our tasks to do with like our children, our life of pleasure and fun, our own passions, our love life, etc., etc. And so this could definitely be a time. Now, for some of you with Saturn in your 8th as well, this could be tying in something financial and then also something to do with your body and health could be coming up around this time with Mars in your 1st trining this full moon. It's like, what are you changing or what's going on in terms of what you're changing with your body, your health, your vitality, your appearance, your style. And then also with Saturn ruling this full moon in your 8th, it's like there's something coming to like a climactic point here, or there's some kind of revelation to do with finances or shared resources with other people. And that can also include romances, children, friends, relationships, things like that as well. So just seeing all that together, that's kind of what that makes me think of. So you'll have to let me know down below, Virgo rising, what you are noticing coming up around this time. I'd love to hear your feedback. So please let me know down below and comment down below, sexy Virgo rising, because you are. And also, if you missed the first half of this video, you really, really, really need to go back and watch it. Okay, you really, really want to watch this one. So go back and catch that first half. So moving on to Libra risings, my lovely Libra risings, this full moon for you is happening in your 4th house of home and family, your foundation, your roots, your ancestry, your lineage, where you come from, your living situation, your nest, your physical nest. physical home life, your physical family, you know? And so you could be noticing a lot coming up to do with that around this week. There could be some peak moments, some emotional moments, some events that occur that really are pulling your focus there and helping you to realize how to balance your career and your long-term goals and your vision for the future and your mission in life and what you care about in terms of your legacy and what you want out of life and what you want out of your goals. But also, it's coming in, you know, this full moon's coming in to balance that with like your home and family and the structure and responsibilities and duties and tasks that you have there as well. So it's like you're like learning how to manage home situations and balance that with your long-term goals, your career, and all of that, right? And so that's really what this full moon is really bringing up for you. It could be like just really kind of showing you that, you know, and also with the ruler of this full moon, Saturn, being in your 7th, it really ties in your partner, your significant other, your close relationships as well with that home and family life. So it's like you're realizing something here to do with your home and family, or the role that you play in that versus your role in your career and your long-term goals, and how to kind of balance the two. The two can be balanced. And it's like by you having a secure foundation, you feel the most aligned to go after your career and your goals. You feel the safest to go after the things that you intuitively want out of your life when your foundation is secure. Okay. And, you know, with you having Cancer as your 10th house, this is like goals that you really care about, goals that are close to your heart, you know, goals of maybe helping other people or, you know, whatever the case may be. But, you know, with the moon in Capricorn, it's like, okay, well, we need to make sure that our own nest is secure first, and that is stable, and our foundation is stable first. And then I feel good and safe and all of that to go after my goals, or it actually helps expand my goals and my success when I, you know, have a sturdy foundation underneath of me. So I feel like that's a lot of what this is about. It could be a very nostalgic time though, like maybe there's some things coming back from the past, or you're remembering certain things, or whatever the case may be. So look for those topics though to come up around this time, Libra risings. And if you missed the first half, this is like, you're one of the signs that really, 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 I think needs to hear the first half. It's very, very powerful. You're going to get a lot more out of it. Out of this video. If you listen to the first half, like it was so powerful. Like I channeled so many good things. So go back and check that out if you missed it, and comment down below sexy or Libra rising, because you are. Alrighty, moving on to Scorpio risings. For you guys, this full moon's happening in your 3rd house. So this deals a lot with your environment, your local environment, your city, your town, your neighborhood, things going on around you on a day-to-day basis, pretty much. Short travel, short trips, you know, your kind of lifestyle on a day-to-day basis, the people, places, and things that you kind of frequent on a day-to-day basis, your communication. Sometimes it can be like self-expression and just what your life is looking like on a day-to-day basis. What are your day-to-day routines and rituals, you know? So the moon coming here, the full moon happening here could really be bringing this up. You've had maybe a large focus on like a bigger picture or a bigger context or a bigger mission or your beliefs or your worldviews or your, you know, spiritual views or education or travel or where you want to go in the world or where you want to be in the world. And this Capricorn full moon is coming in to kind of ground you back into reality a little bit for a moment. So you can kind of have two perspectives at once. So you can kind of balance out this energy. So it's like, okay, like you can have these big views and these big ideas and go after the things that you want to go after and have this like mission and this purpose and travel and educate yourself and like whatever the case. But what's going on in your like actual reality on a day-to-day basis? What's going on in your environment right now? Like what do we need to do right here, right now? You know, do we need to get the car fixed that we've been putting off? Or do we need to go run some errands? Or, you know, whatever the case may be, it's like grounding those big things into your day-to-day life and finding a way to kind of balance the two. And so that's really what this full moon is about, with the ruler of it being in your 6th. I would definitely say that this could also be bringing up, again, your routines, your health, and your work. So your job could be seeing some things come up with that as well. And then, yeah, so that is what I'm seeing for you, Scorpio risings. Let me know down below how that resonated. Also, if you missed the first half of this video, it is freaking powerful, okay? Very, very fucking powerful. So you might want to go back and watch it if you missed it. Comment down below, sexy Scorpio rising, because you are. And we are going to move on to Sag rising. So For Sag risings, this full moon's happening in your second house of your resources, your finances, your assets, the things that you own, and your abilities, your skills, your capabilities, your priorities, and what you're able to do on a day-to-day basis. And so with the full moon happening here, it's definitely shining a light on this area of your chart for you to kind of integrate something internally here. The sun's been traveling through the opposite sign of Cancer in your 8th house with Jupiter there now. So there's been kind of this expansion and this, attention, this focus that's been going towards maybe shared resources, shared finances, finances that you share with a partner, share with your family, or whatever the case may be, or share with a business partner or a bank or, whatever. So it's really been focused on expanding that area of your life and feeling safer in that area of your life and feeling more emotionally aligned in that area of your life. But this full moon's coming in your second house to say, okay, let's first get our house in order before we go creating a bigger house for everybody. It's an analogy I'm kind of using for this, right? So it's well, what about your foundation? What about your resources, your assets, your things, the things that you own, your skills, your capabilities? Where do we need to take responsibility for our own personal resources right now, our own personal assets right now, our own personal things right now? Where do we need to move some things around or manage some things in our own life right now before, so we can make some changes and integrate some things, manage some things, so we can feel more aligned between our own foundation, assets, resources, our own stuff, versus stuff we're sharing with others or stuff that we're going to be exchanging with others or getting from others or giving to others, etc. Okay? It's kind of how I see this right now. The full moon will be trining Mars in your 10th house. So it's really bringing in your career, your long-term goals, your achievements, the success that you want to have in your life, your legacy. So that could be coming in here. And also with Saturn in your 5th, it could be bringing up children. If you have children, dating, romance, all of that passion, could be kind of webbed into this as well. So let me know down below, Sagittarius, what you guys are noticing. I'd love to hear your feedback and hear what you guys have to say right now, what's coming up this week for you for this full moon. And if you missed the first half of this video, it is so freaking powerful. This is one you do not want to miss. Go back and watch that. I really think that you specifically as a Sag rising will relate to a lot of it based on the way that your chart is configured right now. So definitely go back and check that out if you did miss it, and comment down below sexy Sag rising, because you are. And that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next one.